Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully, things are going well in regards to that. However, things may not be going so well weather-wise in the southern United States today. So let's talk about it. There's a strong tornado threat and enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5, across the southern U.S. today. That's Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and we're going to be seeing the risk for very large hail with that as well. So damaging storms overall are likely. These dangerous storms are likely to continue into the evening and overnight hours, and there's a slight risk of storms tomorrow that's going to be from the same system, the same general line, and the threat of tornadoes and damaging wind gusts is going to remain with that as well. Large hail still a slight threat, but it's going to be lower tomorrow than it is today. So here's the forecast for today. Jackson, Mississippi, that's the big city that's within the enhanced risk today. However, central Louisiana, heading back into Texas just a little bit, also within that risk. So that's stretching from around the Texas-Louisiana border all the way to the Mississippi-Alabama border in the level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. That's where we're seeing numerous severe thunderstorms being likely. Then we're going to be seeing that slight risk around that. That's in the yellow. That includes Birmingham, Montgomery, Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Mobile, Alabama as well. Places like Hattiesburg, Mississippi in there, New Orleans, Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana, places like that, all within the slight risk. That means that we're going to be seeing scattered severe storms and then isolated severe storms heading all the way to Atlanta. So that's the marginal risk. We're going to be seeing a threat for tornadoes with this. Now that is going to be encompassing the entirety of the enhanced risk. So Jackson, Mississippi within that hatched region, meaning there's a possibility of EF2 or higher tornadoes. So this is no joke. This is something that needs to be taken very seriously. And these tornadoes, these tornado producing storms are likely to be lasting into the overnight hours for a lot of us. So please make sure you have multiple ways to get weather alerts. We'll have more details on that later in the video. Slight risk, it's a level 2 out of 5 for damaging winds across the entirety of our slight risk region from before. That's all for damaging winds as well. So damaging winds are going to be scattered throughout Lake Charles, New Orleans, Mobile, Jackson, Birmingham, Montgomery, Alabama. If you're in those cities, scattered coverage of severe storms is expected to be at or around your location with regards to damaging winds. Again, Jackson, you're in a level 3 for tornadoes. You're also in a level 3 for large hail. So large hail, that stretches through the entirety of the enhanced risk corridor where that level 3 is as well. And then that hatched region stretching a bit outside of that, that's where 2-inch hail or larger is possible. So that's very large hail. That's something that needs to be taken very seriously. That could be destructive. So make sure that you know how to prepare for that. That means getting your car off the road if you're in a severe thunderstorm warning. That means boarding up your windows if you can, things like that, in the event that you have that you know you're in the path of a particularly dangerous storm, making sure that you're preparing for that hail damage the best that you can. All right, so here we are with the models. So this weather model, this is just one possible solution of what's going to happen overnight tonight until we get to around 6 a.m. On Monday. So storms are going to be moving out throughout the evening and overnight hours, that main wave, and we're going to see that new wave that ushers in the slight risk tomorrow form in the morning. So this main wave, it's going to be moving through the enhanced risk corridor until around midnight. Then storms are going to die down, and we're going to start to see storms fire back up around 4 or 5 a.m. in the state of Mississippi. So that main round where that enhanced risk is, that'll be out of here around midnight. 4 or 5 a.m., we're going to see storms start to fire back up in the state of Mississippi. Those could also be dangerous, so don't let your guard down. If you're in Mississippi in particular, overnight weather warnings are your friend. If you're in New Orleans, it's the same for you, areas in that general vicinity. If you're west of there, I'm not as worried about the threat beyond midnight. However, you should still have multiple ways to get weather alerts, as we're probably going to be seeing a more active severe weather pattern over the next few weeks and months. Severe weather season is not far away. So as that line of storms forms, that's going to usher in our slight risk for tomorrow, and that's going to be covering everywhere from Alabama all the way off the coast. So marginal risk stretching all the way up to North Carolina. That's a level 1 out of 5. That's isolated coverage, scattered coverage of severe storms in the level 2 out of 5. So most of Alabama in that slight risk, the Florida Panhandle as well, sliver of Mississippi there on the eastern side of the state. Most, if not the entirety of Georgia in the level 2. We're seeing most, except for the extreme eastern portion of South Carolina, also in that level 2 slight risk. Now, this could change a bit. We'll likely have another video on this tomorrow. However, the risk for severe storms tomorrow, even though it's not up to a level 3, should be taken just as seriously as the risk for severe storms today. It's the same system, same general setup. Few things have changed in the meteorological side of things, but still the threat is there, so please make sure that you're taking that seriously. Tornado threat, not quite as widespread in the level 2 regard, so that slight risk that is not entirely due to tornadoes for a lot of us, but if you're in Montgomery, Atlanta, Tallahassee, that slight risk is due to the possibility of tornadoes. Much of the state of Georgia, especially the central part of the state, and then southeastern Alabama and most of the Florida Panhandle, you're in that level 2 out of 5 for tornadoes. That means scattered coverage of tornadoes is possible. We could even see a stronger tornado just from the things I've been looking at. However, that is not explicitly stated by the Storm Prediction Center at this time. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Again, we'll have more information on that later. Now, the wind threat, that is more widespread. We're seeing that across the entirety of our slight risk region I mentioned before. The entirety of the marginal risk region I mentioned before is in a level 1 out of 5 for wind. So wind is definitely the primary threat for tomorrow. Tornadoes secondary. Our final threat, only a level 1, and I say only. I mean, these storms are still going to be damaging in this regard. We have large hail as a very real threat covering mostly our slight risk region. That's where we're seeing our level 1 out of 5 for large hail. And then outside of that, in our marginal risk region, large hail, not so much of a threat. So make sure you're taking tomorrow seriously. Not looking quite as serious as today right now. We'll keep you updated as we get more details. So here's that line of storms we were talking about. Those storms are going to be out of Mississippi by the late morning. So 10, 11 a.m., we're going to be seeing those storms out of Mississippi starting to move through the remainder of the area. Now, rain and thunderstorms are going to be there throughout most of the risk area, starting at the beginning of the day. So you're going to have to be on high alert when it comes to severe weather, probably a little bit before we move into the next day, just to make sure that you're keeping an eye on things as these storms move closer and closer to you. But again, Mississippi, the main storm threat's going to be out of there by around noon tomorrow, and then we're going to be seeing that threat move through Alabama. That main severe weather threat, that's going to be out of there by the time we get to around 5, 6 p.m. So by the time you finish your evening commute, things are likely going to be dying down a little bit severe weather-wise. However, during the evening commute, it's still important to be aware of weather, as there could still be some severe weather ongoing, especially in the southeastern portions of the state. The Florida Panhandle, things start early, and unfortunately, that's going to continue throughout much of the evening. We're going to start to see things move off the coast by the time we move to around midnight. And then we're going to be seeing those storms, as they continue to move on through, remain a problem for most of the area until around midnight. So after Mississippi, Alabama, Florida Panhandle, we're going to see storms moving out of Georgia through the late evening, maybe a little bit before midnight. But South Carolina and North Carolina, you can't really let your guard down until around midnight. And even after that, you could still see an isolated severe storm. So please make sure that you have multiple ways to get weather alerts, especially when it comes to overnight. And here's the way you can do it. So starting with your cell phone, make sure that your cell phone is not on silent and that you're near your bed fully charged. And in case of power outages, you make sure that your wireless emergency alerts are turned on. This way, your phone can be your weather radio in some sense. I know a weather radio is another fantastic way to do this. It's another source of getting a warning. It uses different frequency bands, things like that. Keep your weather radio plugged in and make sure that you have fresh batteries in case the power goes out. That way you have 2 ways of getting weather alerts, 2 different frequency bands, 2 different ways of receiving those weather alerts. You want to make sure that you have safety supplies. It's going to be a flashlight, shoes, hard-soled shoes. Make sure if you're in bed and you get that warning that you bring your blanket with you. That'll protect you from flying debris. If you have a bicycle helmet, something like that, you can quickly grab. That's important too. And then finally, know your safe place. That's going to be the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room, preferably a bathroom or a closet, something of that nature, something away from windows inside the home. Basement's best. Interior room on the first floor, still good. Final thing I want to talk about, I just want to briefly talk about this winter storm we're going to be seeing on the northern end of the same system. So we're going to be seeing up to half a foot of snow as a real possibility throughout the southern plains all the way up to Ohio. Although this isn't going to be something that causes huge impacts, it is big enough I wanted to mention it. Then we're going to be seeing our bigger impacts with the nor'easter and the northeast Monday night and Tuesday. That's the same system. We're likely to see greater than 8 inches of snow. If you're in the yellow, in the bottom graphic there, or higher, that's the chance of snowfall. So you're at a 50% shot or higher if you're in the yellow. You're at a 70% shot or higher of 8 inches of snow if you are in the orange. This is going to result in significant travel impacts on Tuesday. It is going to be very fast moving. Again, over 8 inches of snow possible in parts of Pennsylvania and the New York border through Massachusetts. This coupled with powerful winds and heavy wet snow could damage trees, power lines, and disrupt travel. Finally, there's going to be moderate coastal flooding with this. Intensification of the coastal low south of Long Island Tuesday is forecast to cause moderate coastal flooding and high tide Tuesday along the Jersey Shore and portions of New York and New England coasts. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, you can hit the like button down below. If you didn't, you know where that button is. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing, and turn on notifications so when severe weather strikes, you have the information you need to stay safe. With that, you can also join our Discord server to have conversations with myself and the rest of the team, as well as a weather community we have over there. And if you don't want to do that, you can always leave a comment below. We'll get to those as quickly as we can. Thank you guys again for watching. We'll be live later today if needed for the stronger tornado threat. And with that being said, we hope to see you in the next thing we produce. Thank you so much.